Hello and welcome to JamHammer. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the channel so far to mark this auspicious occasion. JamHammer is 1 year old. We'll go over some of the videos that have been created so far, take a look at what's tentatively planned to be released for the channel in the future, as well as some behind the scenes stuff. For instance, technically the channel's already over a year old since I created it back in April. But it wasn't until June that I actually worked up to posting a video. When I created this channel, I was completely new to editing videos and hadn't done any tabletop hobbying or gaming for about 17 years, so it was a lot of new ground to cover. And it all began with coming across a Warhammer 40k starter set from the 6th edition.
We've got the old templates there that I don't think are in use anymore, so I'll put those to a side for now. I've got these very ubiquitous measuring sticks as well. I remember these from when I was playing Warhammer back 15 years ago. These haven't changed. These are what we used to use in our Games Workshop.
In this first video, I had basically no tech or know-how. This was filmed on an outdated camera phone, precariously balanced on a 10-pound tripod, while the lighting came courtesy of an even older mobile phone, plus a little help from that good old standby light source, the sun. And you can tell from the voiceover that I just made up the commentary back then, so it's quite disjointed and not particularly engaging. From around the third video onwards, I actually began sitting down and taking the time to write scripts, so that they're, hopefully, a little more coherent, although more time consuming. Speaking of the Dark Vengeance set, it's quite apt and more than a little demoralising that I finally finished painting the contents from this box, so once I've got enough terrain prepped, we could see about running a battle report video, so watch this space. I did create painting videos for all of the minis in this box to really try to wring as much value out of it as possible. Most of these were released and are part of this playlist, with the Hellbrute used as our example for creating some DIY Blood for the Blood God and various other Uzi bits. I never shot anything for the HQ choices though, as they were a bit repetitive and contained nothing new in terms of painting from the standard army paint schemes. Here's how they're looking though. And if we compare them with the very first miniatures I painted a year ago when restarting the hobby, these Dark Angels Tactical Marines, we can see that my painting has improved a little bit over the past year, although still got a long way to go. Mainly, the highlights on the cloth are cleaner and have a smoother blend. The paint applied is of a better consistency with less of a thick tacky texture. And the strokes are neater with less stray colour spilling over onto areas that they shouldn't. There were a few videos that I made for the Dark Vengeance set that were never finished or released as well. I shot one for the Assault Cultists for example, but it never got to the editing stage because, well, they were a travesty even by my standards. I was experimenting with using all the colours I hadn't used yet from the Vallejo set that's often mentioned on the channel, and the cultists ended up as nightmarish mismatched clowns with yellow and, for some reason, I don't know what I was thinking, flesh tone trousers. In the end, I much preferred the simple, unified way that the ones with range weapons turned out, so that got released instead, and the assault units footage was stored away on a hard drive to be lost to the ravages of time. I also fully recorded and edited a video where I created the basing terrain that I used for all the Dark Vengeance minis, out of reused coffee grounds and old tea leaves. This also never saw the light of day because it was just generally rubbish and more than a little embarrassing. Let's roll the tape.
What we're going to do is see if they can be used as a basing material for our minis. We're also going to be using some tea leaves here too, but don't just use the coffee grounds and the tea leaves as they are. Treat yourself to a lovely caffeinated brew. After all, nothing makes intricate, detailed painting quite as interesting as a jittery caffeine hand.
Terrible. Moving swiftly on to some more positive aspects of the channel, like the videos that were released, and that folks seem to enjoy. The first video to do well caught me completely off guard, the Orc Commandos painting video. I'm still not sure why this one in particular was picked up by the almighty algorithm, but I was really pleased that it did. It could be because this was the first painting video that I'd done for minis that are released in this decade. I'd just bought the Octarius set and I was quite unsure as to how I was going to paint any of the minis in this box, as well as learn a new rule set. And a little bit of behind the scenes here, I mentioned cutting myself on the video, and you can see a plaster appear on my finger. I was actually so busy stressing out about how to paint these orcs that I slipped with a particularly vicious bread knife while making lunch. Then, after taking a little break to stop the bleeding, I settled on the purple accent colour and went straight back to painting. But the video did much better than the others that have been posted, and that brings us round to how surprised I've been since at other videos doing so well. Most of them for a while, and still over half to this day, get under 100 views, but a few shot to several thousands, which was just brilliant to see. I'm really pleased with the response to the Kill Team How to Play in particular, as this was completely unfamiliar territory for me, as both a new game that I had no experience with, and as a style of video I'd never created before. Around the same time as purchasing the Octarius set, I started to put a bit more money towards the channel. This was mostly due to lockdown, as I had more savings to put aside, so managed to divert some funds towards some better equipment. There's now a dedicated mic, a standing soft light, an actual camera, as well as a desk-mounted rig to hold it. I also finally managed to get a desktop PC so that I can edit without my computer overheating, losing hours of work, and having continuous crashes while trying to render a video. And this happened a lot. It's honestly surprising that there's even any content on here. But so much of the earlier editing was guesswork, as the laptop I was using didn't have the processing or graphical power to show me what a scene would look like until the video was exported. This meant a lot of the post-production was a mystery, and if it was rubbish, it was back in to re-edit, re-export, and re-appeal to the powers that be that it would render without bursting into flames. I'll continue trying to put money towards better equipment like a daylight lamp, a new lens for doing close-ups, and perhaps even one of those sick lazy Susans down the line to show off all the sides of a mini without breaking my wrists. Oh, and some soundproofing too, since my flat is near a busy road which keeps on polluting my audio and lungs. If you would like to help support the channel, then there's now a link to a PayPal wallet in the description of the videos, as well as on the banner. Any donations will be gratefully received and will be put towards creating more and better content. The production value is slowly improving with better equipment and as I keep practicing more with video editing. So the content itself. Initially, my idea for the channel was that it was going to be exclusively 40k, as these were the only minis I had at the time, and this was where most of my experience with tabletop gaming was. I did used to collect Fantasy Warhammer and Lord of the Rings from Games Workshop too, but I've yet to find any of my old minis. As the year went on though, I became interested in Kill Team as the prospect of skirmish battles in the 40k universe really appealed to me, and I've been really enjoying playing it. I'll be looking into doing a battle report using the miniatures from the Octarius set soon, as everything from that set is painted and ready to go. I'd also heard nothing but positive things about Blood Bowl as well, so I branched into that a little. It's a hilarious game, and the fact that it's set in the old world really appeals to me, as I never really got into Age of Sigmar. Much like the Dark Vengeance set, I stumbled by chance on the Imperium magazine series 2 while wandering around one day. This has now become one of the longest running sections on the channel, and will hopefully continue into the future. It's a bit of a mess though in terms of when more editions arrive. If you've been following along, or if you take a look at this playlist, you can see the issue numbers are a bit jumbled up. That's because certain issues, shockingly it's always the ones with the really good deals, are almost always out of stock, even to folks like myself who are paying for subscriptions. Unfortunately, I've not received any in a long while, which is why there haven't been any more uploads for the series. As soon as they send me the next order, there'll be a video up though, so fingers crossed we won't have too much longer to wait. I'm also getting to the stage where there are enough guides, minis and paints now from Imperium that we can start branching out into other, more detailed content. Soon we can go beyond unwrapping and reviewing the magazines and their included minis to following along with some of the painting guides so we can see how the experts recommend painting their minis. Plus, it will give us a chance to review the included range of Citadel paints and tools that they've provided us with too. Once we've got some of these models painted up, we might even play through a few of the missions included in the more recent issues for some micro battle reports. First things first though, bit of a confession. I've yet to assemble a single sprue from the Imperium series, so I have this teetering pile of shame beginning to grow. Feeling like a true hobbyist now. I also wanted to widen out to other media that I was interested in besides tabletop gaming, so I started doing a few Let's Plays, as well as analysis of one of the 40k novels from the Black Library, which is Games Workshop's publishing branch. The channel is still very much in its infancy, so I'm still doing a lot of experimentation at the minute to see what works, what doesn't, and what people are interested in seeing. None of these videos have been particularly popular, so it could be that we don't carry on with them, but basically I wanted to release videos once a week, and unfortunately, I haven't got the time or the budget to release tabletop content that frequently. This is why the releases are staggered, with more time-consuming edits such as painting videos and instructionals being every other Thursday, and Let's Plays the alternate Thursdays. Content is released every Thursday at 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that somewhere at some point. And I've saved the most important thing until last. I'm so proud of the community that we've built here so far, and I hope that this continues to grow and thrive. I love to read and respond to people's comments, especially since the vast majority are so positive and encouraging. A year ago, I basically started JamHammer as something to do during lockdown, as I had a lot of spare time that I wanted to do something creative with. I never thought that anyone would watch what was posted, especially considering the sheer amount of brilliant tabletop dedicated channels out there. But I've been completely blown away by the great responses from you all, and I'm truly honoured that people have taken the time to watch my content, and I've even found it to be informative and enjoyable. So, several hundreds of pounds and hours later, here we are. 1 year in, and here's to many more. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking it, subscribe to the channel, and clicking the bell to be notified of new videos being released. There'll be more videos being released in the future, so please do keep an eye out for more content coming soon to JamHammer. In the meantime, there are plenty of other videos available on the channel, including a few that are on screen now for you to click on. Thanks again for watching.